Another concern sparked by the move is the future of the close ties between London and Washington. The US president has been quick to claim the so-called special relationship between the allies will endure. But the White House has made it clear it's not happy about Brexit, which Barack Obama has warned voters against.
The United Kingdom is at its best when it's helping to lead a strong Europe. Our focus is in negotiating with a big bloc of the European Union to get a trade agreement done. And UK is going to be in the back of the queue.
Obviously, the president stands by what he said, and I don't have an update of our position.
For years, the UK has been America's right arm on the European continent. Relations between the two countries have traditionally been strong, even bordering on intimate.
Just as our nations share a special relationship, David and I have shared an extraordinary partnership.
Incredibly close.
This relationship has allowed the U.S. to have greater involvement in European affairs. A recent example of this bond is the controversial transatlantic trade partnership. Many in Europe fear it would give transnational companies too much power, but Prime Minister David Cameron has been a faithful supporter of the deal.
Barack and I remain among the most determined to achieve our vision of a US-EU trade deal.
When the proposal for an EU army was flirted with in the bloc, something which would undermine NATO's influence in Europe, Cameron was quick to knock back the idea.
It isn't right for the European Union to have capabilities, armies, air forces, and the rest of it.
And when voices in Europe began to speak out in favor of abolishing anti-Russian sanctions, the UK was always there to remind others of their importance.
Ukraine is the victim of Russian-backed aggression. We must never forget that fact. And the G7 is clear that existing sanctions must remain in place until the Minsk agreement is fully implemented.
Back in 2013, the U.S. pushed for military action to be taken against the Syrian government for the alleged use of chemical weapons, an idea that was not particularly well received in many European countries. But of course, 10 Downing Street was on the same page as 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
American President and I have had discussions that have been reported in the newspaper about potential military action.
The interest of the United States in the status quo in Europe, there's a sense that Britain is the closest U.S. ally in the European Union, and with them leaving, it's going to reduce America's influence within the rest of Europe. They're probably going to have to try much, much harder to maintain anything close to the same amount of influence they had before.
Here at the British Embassy in Washington, D.C., one of these flags may soon be taken down as Britain voted to break with the European Union on Thursday.